Hello YouTubers, what we're going to do today is we are going to rhinestone a phone charger. This is like a great beginner project. If you see like a lot of those hand-placed rhinestone projects on like Instagram and you're like, I don't know if I can do that. This is a great beginner project because it's not that big of a project to do. And if you hate it, you can move on without wasting that much money or time. So it's a great beginner project and just kind of fun. Also, if you're fighting over chargers all the time, you can definitely tell which one is yours. So let's go talk about rhinestones, and then we'll talk about how we did this, and then we'll do another one. All right, so in other tutorials I've done on the video, those were made with hot fix rhinestones. And those are the ones that go for clothes, and you put them on the clothes and you heat them up with a heat press or an easy press, and they stick. They already have glue on them. These guys are called flatback rhinestones, and they don't have any glue on them. So you've got to supply the glue based on the project that you're using it with. Now, I don't know if our little camera's going to get this, but these guys are hot fix. You can see they have like a grid on the back. That's the glue. This guy doesn't have anything. He's just foil on the back. So this is a flatback, and this is a hot fix. So that's the difference between the two. If you get in a pinch, you can use these guys and glue them if you just need them real quick, but mostly use these guys. All right, so most people either use resin rhinestones or glass rhinestones. These are resin rhinestones, and resin rhinestones fall into two categories. They're normally either called, these are just would be referred to as resin rhinestones, and these are jellies. Jelly rhinestones is what they're called. The jellies are more transparent and don't have the foil back on them. So see how these have the foil back on them? These don't. But they're both resin rhinestones. They're significantly more budget friendly, especially if you need a bunch of them. But they're far more budget friendly than the glass ones. This guy I did in resins. And this pack is 5,000 pieces for, I think it was $5. Okay, and I don't remember the price on any of these, but this is a mixed AB. And AB means Aurora Borealis, and it's got like a coating on it that gives it extra shine. But these are all resin. And then these guys are a little more transparent. The little jellies are not my favorite. See how they're a little more transparent than one that has the backing on it. In all honesty, it probably means I just haven't found the right project for it. So see, this is a jelly one, and then these have the foil on them. So it just probably means I haven't found the right project for them, but they're not my favorite as of this moment making this video. But they are significantly cheaper and more budget friendly, especially when you're starting out and you don't know if you're gonna like this. 5,000 is a lot of rhinestones for your money. Your other option is glass. These are my favorite personally. They just feel like they're more sparkly and prettier. Most people will tell you that these hold up better long term, especially if they're going to be handled a lot. That sometimes these guys tend to lose their sparkle. I haven't played with any of this long enough to know for certain or to have an opinion, but that's what I read doing my research for this. But this is 50 grams, and these were $12. So you can see the significant price difference. Also, these are mixes that I bought. You can either buy mixes or mix your own. So this would just be straight rhinestones, and then this is like a mix of different sizes and colors. Now if you do get mixes, look for a variety of sizes and colors. So see how in here the big ones aren't all the same color. So just make sure you have a wide assortment of colors and sizes. The sizes come in handy because like when you come around a curve, you need the smaller rhinestones. You can't be plunking the big huge ones right here. They're not going to lay flat. So variety of sizes and colors when you're looking for a mix. You can also buy a bunch of different colors and mix your own if you want to. And I did also want to show you just one more comparison. These are Crocs we'll be doing in another future video. These are the resin ones here. And then these guys are the glass ones, actually this kind. So you can see the kind of the difference in the sparkle on them. currently wearing them to make sure that they actually stay glued on, because Crocs are notoriously hard to actually glue rhinestones onto. So we're wearing them for the week. These have held up really well. I'm dorkily excited about this. But yeah, these are glass and these are resin. And then we'll wear them and see more and give you a better review of how they look after a week of wearing them and everything else. So, all right, so you will need your charger. We are going to sand this with some 320 sandpaper and then clean it with some Windex. So you will need those. The sanding is just to take some of the really smooth shine off of it to give it a little bit more grit for the epoxy and for the rhinestones to stick to. So we'll be using, so you'll need a charger. I'm going to be doing a red and black charger this time with, these are glass rhinestones. I was curious to see how different they would be from this resin one. So your rhinestone of choice, you're going to want a wax pencil to pick up your rhinestones with. This one I've been using for a while, and it's been used on the Crocs, and the Crocs, for whatever reason, have really taken a toll on this. But you're going to want a wax pencil of some kind to pick up your rhinestones. All right, so we're going to use 2-part 30-minute set Bob Smith Epoxy. And then we're going to mix in some mica powder with it and use, these are hot lip gloss applicators. So they're one-time use and you throw them away, but they're really good at applying this because the epoxy is kind of the same consistency as a really thick lip gloss. So, and that is what you're going to need. Now we are going to be mixing our mica powder in with our 2-part epoxy. The reason why is because when you put together all your little circles, you're going to have gaps. And if you don't put a color behind them, it's just going to be really obvious and be really distracting. So when you do have a gap, so that's why we color it. And like this one, I colored with pink mica powder and with the glue. And like when I have a gap, it's not quite as obvious as if it was stark white. So that's why we put the mica powder in with the glue. You can also use vinyl or spray paint. Or I've seen people use marker when they sand it and then they put marker over it. All different options. You can also mix ultra fine glitter in with your Bob Smith. None of that chunky glitter, but like ultra fine glitter will mix in too. There's several options. This is just what I chose to do. I had this little kit of of mica powders, and I really like them. They come each individually packed and labeled, and there's a bunch of different colors in here. So you have all sorts of options, and they're all very pretty. So I bought this actually for clay. You can also use, if you still are rocking some like 80s eyeshadow and blush are also going to be mica powder based too. So you can use those too if you've got some like really glittery nightclubish kind of makeup. You are more than welcome to use it here. Now, I wanted to show you, I've been using foam plates as my kind of workstations for these. There are quite a number of different things you can buy on the market, little plates and adapters and things to hold glue, all sorts of things, but you don't have to have them. If you're going to do this professionally, obviously, you might want to look into all the little different bowls and plates and things that they have on the market, but this is just a charger. So I'm using this as a foam plate, and I sacrificed some rhinestones tonight because I wasn't sure. This one was really easy. Obviously, we're going to do pink for pink. But I wasn't sure between this and the neon ones. So I mixed some Bob Smith and some mica powder to see which one I wanted. So we're going to end up doing, this is technically called silver. It's more of like a gray silver with the red and black rhinestones. But this was a neon one that I was also looking at. And then this is just black, and then this was obviously red. So if you don't know, feel free to do a test, because there's nothing worse than trying to do it and then hating what you do. So feel free to test it out on something if you're really confused. All right, so this is just a little sanding block I have, and we're just gonna lightly sand. See, just enough to scuff it up. I don't know if you can see, but just enough to scuff it up. Please don't like take plastic off and leave some chewed up thing. You just want to scuff it up. So now we're just gonna wipe it down with some Windex to get off the dust and the fingerprints. And then after this, do your best not to totally just grab it. Your fingerprints have oil in them, so like I just did, your fingerprints have oil in them. It's not really like the end of the world if you do, but it's better if you don't. Alright, so this is my foam plate that I've been working on. This is my little rhinestones. I dumped them out over here. Now, this is my 2-part bob. And we just put out equal blobs onto my plate. Now, I'm not putting out really big blobs. The reason being that I am in my basement. And you mix up as much or as little as you want to. But just roughly equal dots. And then this is our mica powder. And then what I've just been doing is taking my little, I'm taking my lip gloss applicator and just putting it into the bag. It does come with like a little spoon thing if you want to use it. But despite my mess, normally that method's a little less messy. And then you're gonna stir. So you want to make sure that both your A and your B are mixed together, and that your epoxy, or that your epoxy is mixed together, and that your mica powder is all mixed in there as well too. So then I'll take it and put it on our charger. See, and I like the sparkle the mica powder really adds, more so than just vinyl. In working like manageable sections, I would highly not recommend putting like all of this on all at once, because you're probably going to either run out of curing time before you get it all covered. So just work in little bitty sections. And I would start in the flat sections first. And it doesn't have to be like perfectly flat on here or not. So then you're going to take your tool, and then I'm a big fan of the random pattern, just because I don't want to have to worry about making sure my pattern's all set. So there we go. And I do like to start with making sure that they're all lined up at the top. Alright, so this is what I have done with our first pass of our epoxy. I may actually have a little bit more here. It's getting a little thick. But what I like to do now is let it sit until they set a little bit more. You can absolutely keep going, but they kind of move in at a certain point. It just drives me nuts. When you do come to a stopping point, just make sure you don't have any little tiny gaps, so that when I go put on my next set of epoxy, it gives me like a clean place to put it. You don't want any like tiny little gaps you're trying to get this back into. I'm just gonna let it set up for a minute and then we'll keep going. Alrighty, so this is set up, they're no longer moving. And the reason I like to let these guys set up is so that when you go to push in the other rhinestones, you now have something kind of firm for you to press against. You can keep going, but you just end up with a lot of little squishy moving parts, which is kind of annoying. But basically, we're going to do the same thing again. Our relatively equal parts, and then our silver mica powder. Now I wanted to show you how I go around this corner. For the corner, you're going to want to stay away from any of the really big rhinestone pieces, you're going to want to go for some of the smaller ones that will lay flat around that corner. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is my washer up above me going to town. And you're going to do the same thing, but you're just going to want to try to keep some of the smaller ones on your curve so that they're more likely to lay flat. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Small stones around the curve. You're going to do the same thing. Fill in with your epoxy and then fill in with your stones. Okay, so I'm working on this, and I don't know if you can tell. Let's see. I just put this guy on the curve, and this little part over here isn't touching. So that's what I'm talking about. So he needs to get moved someplace else so that he is actually touching flat on the charger. All right, so this is our section we just got done. This is our first section we had done, and then this is our second one. Now I like to let these set up again, and then you can come over here and work over on this section now, since these are set up and you can push against these guys. It really does make these easier to get them on. And then when this section is done, you can come back over here. And basically it's the same process. You're gonna put your resin on and stick your rhinestones on. So I'm gonna go finish this guy up, and we'll meet again when we're done. All right, so I got our little charger all done. I wanted to show you a bit more up close this scatter pattern that I did. And basically you just kind of put, and then you fill in with these little ones. You're still gonna have gaps, it's just gonna happen, but you just kind of go along with no rhyme or reason and then fill in with the little ones if you have a big gap. There are other patterns. You can go every row and offset and swirl. There's several patterns you can do, but I like the scatter because if you mess up, nobody's gonna know. If you're doing absolutely perfect straight rows, if you're off by a little bit, somebody's gonna notice. So also I did seem to notice this one is a little bit more, you can see the pattern. I feel like with the pink rhinestones and the pink mica powder, things kind of blend in a little bit more, so you don't get to see all the individual stones maybe. See where this one, you can really kind of tell everything. So pick your rhinestone pattern accordingly. All right, so on this one, I did the USB part and the phone charger part. Going forward, I probably won't do this part. This one does, this one's fine. This one is a little scotch fatter, and what happens is it won't fit in the phone. So it'll fit in my USB port. It's the case. It'll fit on my iPad, but not my phone, because this guy's just a scotch wider than this, and it makes it a little too fat for the case. So keep that in mind when you do rhinestone these. So I'll do the USB ports, they're fine, but going forward, I won't rhinestone this part. If you do want to do do these parts, it's the same process. So sand, clean, epoxy, and then I'll place your rhinestones. Another thing, on both of my little chargers, I got some of my mica powder and epoxy on the white face. Not a lot, and you probably could just sand it off, but if it's going to be a problem for you, or if you were to sell these, I would highly recommend taping these off to prevent any of this kind of stuff. Alright, so I was going to do my cords, but it's been a really long video, so if you have any questions, let me know. And I will be back with another video soon. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.